What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, then welcome to our little corner of the internet. I already said this in the last video, but I just came back from a holiday and I programmed the videos for that holiday so you guys have something to watch. And it's only been a week and I feel like a newborn baby sitting here. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I need to get back used to this recording and, you know, doing this. It feels weird. But today we're watching the 50 minutes of history facts you'll never need to know. I love getting my brain stuffed with information that I don't need, so I think this is a perfect video to watch. This is from the channel Chat History, and yeah, let's see what this video is about.
15 minutes of useless history. Wait, what? Poland had a bear soldier that served during World
Bear.
War II. His name was Wojtek, and he was a good boy. In 1386, France executed a pig that killed a child. It was arrested, faced trial, and was hanged. Poor thing. During the Great Depression, people would often resort to using potato sacks as clothes. Ancient Mayans worshipped turkeys, as they were seen as—
Whoa. That was a lot of information. That was a lot of information. A pig was executed for killing a child. Something about potato bags. What?
It was arrested, faced trial, and was hanged. Poor thing. During the Great Depression, people would often resort to using potato sacks as clothes. Ancient Mayans worshipped turkeys, as they were seen as vessels for the gods. The 69th—
Oh, there go the Thanksgiving turkey.
Ancient Mayans worshipped turkeys, as they were seen as vessels for the gods. The 69th and 420th words of the Declaration of Independence are to and districts. The Ford Motor Company was founded in 1903 and hasn't produced a good car since. It's said that in Ohio in 1895, only 2 cars existed across the entire cursed state, and they crashed into each other. Famous—
There is no way that's real.
across the entire cursed state, and they crashed into each other. Famous scientist Albert Einstein was once offered the presidency of Israel. He turned it down. The British Empire had around—
There's no way that's real neither. What? Albert Einstein could have been the president of Israel? How is that? That's not possible.
120 colonies at its height in the 20th century. Robert Lincoln, son of U.S. President Abraham Lincoln, was present or nearby during 3 different presidential assassinations. He was just a few blocks away from the Ford Theater when Papa Abraham caught a bullet in the back of his skull.
That's suspicious.
He was an eyewitness to President Garfield's assassination and also experienced President McKinley getting absolutely cannoned in the chest. Afterward, little Bobby Lincoln refused any future invites to presidential events. William Higginbotham, a physicist who worked on the atomic bomb, invented the first video game in 1958 using an oscilloscope. He called his creation Tennis for Two. It was a precursor to Pong. About 4% of the Normandy beaches are made up of leftover shrapnel from the D-Day invasions of World War II. The first European settlement in present-day Uruguay was formed in 1527. It was called San Lazaro and was, you guessed it, a Spanish settlement. Ancient Roman warships were equipped with huge fucking flamethrowers that were used in naval warfare. They called—
What? That's so cool. I mean, that's not cool. War is not cool. But I mean, look at them. They have dragon heads on the flamethrowers. I mean, I would be like, if I was driving one of them, I'd be like, called
it Greek fire, and boy was it effective. In the year 1204, Valdemar II of Denmark was recognized as king in Norway. Ketchup used to be sold as medicine in the 1830s. George Washington died on—
What? For what? Medicine for what? I need more information.
Norway. Ketchup used to be sold as medicine in the 1830s. George Washington died on December 14, 1799 at the age of 67. His last words were, "'Tis well." In ancient Greece, skirts were considered manly and pants were for women. Nothing like letting the boys breathe, you know?
The record for the world's longest stare was set in 2011 in Australia. The loving glare lasted 41 minutes straight and 0 minutes gay.
French monarch King Charles VI—
What am I watching? Okay, French monarch.
And 0 minutes gay.
French monarch King Charles VI suffered from a psychological disorder called the glass delusion, where he was thoroughly convinced that his entire being was made out of glass, and thus likely to shatter into pieces at the slightest poke. He wore clothes enforced with iron rods and prevented anyone from touching him. In 1633, the Shanxi province in Imperial China was ground zero to the Great Plague in the late Ming Dynasty. More than half of the population got sick that year, and over 90% of the province's population was dead 9 years later. The Roman Colosseum used to be covered in marble, but after Rome fell, the marble was
In marble? Oh, that must have been so pretty.
looted by big titty goth pillagers. The Mariana Trench was first discovered in 1875. It is measured at about 36,000 feet or 11,000 meters deep at its lowest point.
Did you guys know that they found, like, they're trying to look for Cleopatra's grave, or there's a woman, a Dominican woman trying to look for Cleopatra's grave, and they found like some pieces and artifacts underwater and a temple in Egypt. Just by the way.
Dr. John Kellogg, creator of the famous cereal brand, invented cornflakes and graham crackers to prevent his patients from gooning. The ancient African city of Timbuktu was found
What? That makes no sense.
graham crackers to prevent his patients from gooning. The ancient African city of Timbuktu was founded in the 5th century. It served as a popular trade route for salt, gold, and people begrudgingly forced to work for free. During the 18th century in England, carrying around a pineapple was a telltale sign that you were rich as hell. Haters gonna hate, bruh. The chainsaw was invented by medical doctors as a tool for symphysiotomy, a procedure for aiding in childbirth. There's an ancient text called the Voynich manuscript, handwritten in an unknown language that has never been deciphered. Wait, what's that say? Oh, would you look at that? Famous silly named astronomer Galileo Galilei discovered the planet of Jupiter using a handheld telescope in 1610. So you know how the US
I've never looked at a telescope. I would love to try that though. That must be really, really, really cool.
government banned alcohol using a handheld telescope in 1610. So you know how the US government banned alcohol during the Prohibition in the 1920s and 1930s? Well, people still wanted to get absolutely slizzard, so they resorted to stealing and drinking industrial alcohol. You know, like rubbing alcohol used to treat wounds? Yeah, you're not supposed to drink that stuff because industrial alcohol is commonly denatured, meaning that toxic additives like kerosene or acetone are mixed in to prevent people from drinking it. What's fun is that this didn't really stop anyone from power chugging the stuff, so they could feel all wavy and wiggly. The mass consumption resulted in the deaths of around 10,000 Americans. Cheers. The most successful pirate in history.
I wouldn't even think of that. I mean, can't you make alcohol by fermenting fruit? Or, like, just do that?
Was a woman. Qing Shi was the commander of the Chinese Red Flag Fleet, which consisted of over 300 warships and about 80,000 crew. Move over, Blackbeard. About 90% of the world's freshwater is frozen in Antarctica's ice shelves. Humanity's been trying to melt it out of there for ages. In 1998, over 1,200 human bones were found in Benjamin Franklin's house. They were used to study human anatomy, or so they say. Pablo Picasso's first painting was called El Picador, which he created at just 8 years old. It sucked.
If that was a painting
called
for 8 years old, that does not suck. For 8 years old, that's very, very creative. I like it.
Picador, which he created at just 8 years old. It sucked. I wrote most of this script on February 29th, 2024. Happy leap year. Pope Gregory IX declared war on cats. Roman Emperor Caligula declared war on the sea. Athletes in the ancient Olympics competed completely naked to show off the guns and show off the buns. The word robot comes from the Czech word robota, meaning forced labor. The year 530.
What? That's crazy.
The word robot comes from the Czech word robota, meaning forced labor. The year 536 is commonly referred to as the worst year in history to be alive. A volcanic eruption in Europe farted out enough dust and debris to cause a multi-year winter. The lack of sunlight dropped average global temperatures by several degrees, causing crop failure and famine in Europe and Asia. Oh yeah, and then the plague showed up. Napoleon's horse was named Marengo. Established in the year 930, Iceland has the oldest parliament in the world. The 13th Grand Duke of Lithuania was Jogaila Algirdaitis. He was also King of Poland. According to a 2021 census, 55% of Isle of Man residents identify as Christian, 44% aren't religious at all. Abraham Lincoln was a licensed bartender. The first capital of the ancient
Abraham Lincoln was a licensed bartender? Is that real? That's cool.
city of Assyria was Ashur. Now you can get across the Bridge of Death.
What is the capital of Assyria?
Ashur.
Right, off you go.
The very first known written language is Sumerian, with the earliest known usage dating back to 3100 BC in Mesopotamia. The German MG-42 machine gun used in World War II has a firing rate of up to 1,500 rounds per minute with an effective range of up to 2,000 meters. In the Roman Empire, a triumvir monetalis was someone who minted coins. The Great Fire of London in 1666 started in a small bakery and quickly engulfed the majority of the city for 4 days. Firefighting methods at the time were no more than buckets of water or destroying other buildings to stop the spread. In the end, 85% of the city's residents were now
Oh my goodness. Imagine like you work at a bakery or at home and you start a fire and it burns out half the city. Oh, where do you go after that? What do you do after that? How do you look at yourself? And I'm kidding. But that's obviously an accident, but still. Oh.
or destroying other buildings to stop the spread. In the end, 85% of the city's residents were now homeless. On the bright side, only 6 people reportedly died, so there's a spark of positivity. The Ottoman Empire was founded in 1299 and fell in 1922. At the end of World War II, Russian citizens decided to party hard. So hard, in fact, that the entire country's vodka reserves were tapped out in just 22 hours. Nastrovia! In 1973, Chinese Supreme Communist overlord Mao Zedong offered the United States 10 million Chinese women. As a joke. Instead, he ended up killing 40 to 80 million people during his totalitarian dictatorship. It was supposed to be a great leap forward, Mao. A popular fad in the 1950s was phone booth stuffing, and just like my romantic endeavors, it didn't last long. Julius Caesar was stabbed 23 times. Rich people in 19th century Europe were in harsh competition for who could collect the most unique and rare orchids. Too bad none of them pulled a Black Lotus. Alexander the Great named over 20 cities after himself during his conquering of over 2 million square miles of land by age 30. What have you done with your life? In 1950,
How old was he?
square miles of land by age 30. What have you done with your life?
By age 30. I'm getting closer.
In 1953, US President Dwight Dimmadome Eisenhower was lassoed by cowboy Marty Montana on horseback during his inauguration speech. Nintendo was founded in 1889 by Fusajiro Yamauchi to produce Hanafuda playing cards. Famed philosopher Socrates didn't really like written words. He believed it was an inefficient way to communicate knowledge and that it would make people lazy and ruin their ability to use the power of memory to recall information.
That is so crazy because that's what we think about AI today.
It would make people lazy.
Maybe like AI will be as typical as reading was back then, like in the future. That's interesting.
And ruin their ability to use the power of memory to recall information. Thus, people would rely on text to retrieve information instead of fully understanding concepts. As a result, the stubborn asshole never wrote anything down. J.R.R. Tolkien's full name was John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. You read the Harry Potter books, right? The Laotian Civil War lasted 16 years, 6 months, 1 week, and 2 days. Despite how old you think it was, the Aztec Empire was actually founded in 1428. King Henry VIII had 4 butt-wiping servants called Grooms of the Stool. For their services, all 4 were formally knighted. At the start of World War I, the US Air Force had only 18 pilots and 12 airplanes. In ancient Asia, death by elephant was a popular execution method. Germany fully controlled 4 colonies during the scramble for Africa in the 1800s and 1900s. They included territories in modern-day Burundi, Cameroon, Namibia, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Togo. On average, Germany uncovers about 2,000 tons of unexploded bombs every year. The wealthy class in Victorian England loved making themselves as white as possible, so they would eat and bathe in arsenic to lighten their complexion. The first version
Ooh.
of the internet, called ARPANET, began as a connection between two computers in California in 1969. It eventually branched out to multiple computers for research purposes and information sharing, forming an intercommunication network, shortened to Internetwork, and shortened more to the internet.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Nowadays, you can watch someone press their feet into a webcam halfway across the world for $3.99 an hour. Or so I've heard. China was actually the first country to use paper money all the way back in the 7th century because coins were just too dang heavy for merchants to lug around all the time. Roman gladiator blood was once used as a cure for epilepsy. It didn't work. Using forks to eat food used to be considered offensive to God since he gave you hands to eat with. In the 1856
Really? Is that why in some cultures you eat with your hands? Probably not. But that's interesting.
be considered offensive to God since he gave you hands to eat with. In the 1856 Belgian general election, Catholics won the Chamber of Representatives 63-45 against the Liberal Party. The Secretary of the Navy during the United States Civil War was Gideon Welles. He had 8 children. The first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens, Greece in 1896. The first silver medalist, gold medals didn't exist yet, was American James B. Connolly in the triple jump. Winston Churchill reportedly smoked up to 15 cigars a day. Private George Price of the Canadian Army was the last casualty of World War I. On November 11, 1918, he was hit in the chest by a sniper at 10:58 a.m. in Mons, Belgium, 2 minutes before the war officially ended.
Oh, that's so sad.
Sorry about that. The first emperor of Japan was legendary Emperor Jimmu, a claimed descendant of the sun god Amaterasu, though there is no evidence that he actually existed. Robert Liston was a British surgeon in the 1800s famous for his swift surgeries. In a time where the best anesthetics were a shot of whiskey and a stick to bite on, speed was critical to minimize pain. During his most famous surgery, Liston set a leg amputation 80% record in just 2.5 minutes flat, severing the fingers of his assistant and accidentally stabbing a nearby spectator.
Sorry, it's not funny, but what?
His most famous surgery, Liston set a leg amputation 80% record in just 2.5 minutes flat, severing the fingers of his assistant and accidentally stabbing a nearby spectator. All 3 men died.
How did he amputate if... Okay. Okay, I guess.
Basketball was invented in 1891 by Canadian-American physician James Naismith. You put ball in basket. Fun. During World War II, Americans called hamburgers Liberty Steaks and sauerkraut Liberty Cabbage. The weather in Phoenix, Arizona in the US on April 20th, 1969 at around 5 p.m. was 90 degrees Fahrenheit with winds east-southeast at 8 miles per hour. The Lebanese city of Tyre was founded in 2750 BC. The first instance of income tax in the US started in 1861 to raise funds for the Civil War. Anyone making over $800, or the equivalent of $28,000 today, was taxed a flat rate of 3%. Marie Antoinette's music teacher was a German opera composer by the name of Christoph Willibald Gluck.
The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time came out in November of 1998, and I'm still playing it.
Oh my god, this guy is very, very, very good at making videos. Okay, this is obviously supposed to be funny, but you see the napkins on the table and the lotion? Like, he knows exactly what he's doing to catch people's attention, and the editing in this video is so good. Very, 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 very good at making videos, and I feel proud of him. Even though I don't know what is going on in his setup right now, but okay.
No witches were actually burned alive during the Salem witch trials. Instead, they were just hanged, which is quicker and doesn't smell as bad. In 1644, eating pie...
Ew, I've never thought about what that smells like.
They were just hanged, which is quicker and doesn't smell as bad. In 1644, eating pie was banned in England. Meat pies, fruit pies, your wife's pie, all of them. Prince Louis Rwagasore of Burundi is regarded as a national hero. He led a political resistance against Belgium and demanded independence from the colonizers. He was elected second prime minister of Burundi in 1961 and served his country for 2 weeks before he was assassinated by political opponents. Burundi was granted independence from Belgium a year later. The Kingdom of Karagwe in modern-day Tanzania was disestablished in 1963. Adolf Hitler helped design the Volkswagen Beetle. A carrier pigeon named Commando successfully carried out over 90 missions during World War II. He even got a medal. The fifth leader of
No way.
the Soviet Union was Leonid Brezhnev, and the guy had eyebrows for days. The 27th state added to the US was Florida. Despite humans being around for over 200,000 years, written history is only 6,000 years old, so who knows what they did? Probably hucked rocks at each other. The Industrial Revolution in the US began in 1760 and lasted all the way until 1840. The popular game Jenga experienced a lull of sales in 2001 because Jenga towers weren't the only ones to fall that year.
What? That's well, I never would have thought of it like that. I have a Jenga too, but it's like with colorful blocks, so it's cuter.
40. The popular game Jenga experienced a lull of sales in 2001 because Jenga towers weren't the only ones to fall that year. Silk was first used in clothing back in China in 3630 BC. Silky smooth. During the stock market crash of 1929, the Dow Jones Index, which tracks 30 of the biggest US companies, fell 89% when it bottomed out in the summer of 1932. It took 22 years to get back to pre-crash heights. That's why I invest responsibly. All on red. Well, that was a lot of useless information. Click here to learn something else.
What? That was 15 minutes already? That was such a fun video to... Oh. Sorry, I probably just blew up your ears. That was such a fun video to watch. I love that. I love getting information I don't need, especially that Einstein was offered presidency. I don't know if I trust that. Is that real, guys? Anyways, did you guys know any of these facts? Because I for sure did not. I don't think I knew not one of these. And thank you guys once again for joining me for this video. I hope you liked it. Again, this channel is called Chat History if you guys want to go follow them, because I haven't really seen videos from him before, but now that I actually looked at it, it's so good. A very good one. But yeah, thank you again for joining me for this video. I hope you liked it. Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.